Okay, how's it going, everybody? If you are watching this video or you're joining this live, I also will be posting this. So if you're watching the posted video, make sure to leave a like, leave your opinions down below. It's good to see everybody. I'm in the middle of changing everything around me. I just had a kid. We just had a bunch of snow. I don't even know why I'm wearing this terrible t-shirt. But yes, today what I want to talk about or sort of do is recap the events that are happening in the Middle East. There seems to have been a massive change of strategy and direction when it comes to the United States military. And yes, a floating head. Terrible choice of wearing camouflage. And hello, everybody. Again, make sure you are liking and commenting so that when I do post a video, you'll see it again. And who knows, maybe I'll start doing more lives here and there, but I'll definitely be reporting on events in the Middle East. So I've been seeing a lot of comments and a lot of people saying, did Joe Biden start a war? Are we going into World War III or World War VI? I don't even know what war you're on. Turn up my mic. Can you guys hear me okay? Look, at the end of the day, I actually think Joe Biden and the U.S. military has taken a very, very patient approach to everything. Looking back at everything, hey everybody, good to see you. It's been about 2 months until the U.S. military has decided, you know what, we're going to strike back. That's a very long time for the U.S. military. I wish your view count matched your subs. That's a whole nother thing. That's a YouTube problem, and also I got banned in May for an entire month. That's a whole nother issue. So, look, U.S. military took 2 months to actually strike back. In my opinion, that is... I'm just going to unplug this. How about that? Everyone say my mic is bad. Great quality. How about now, everybody? I think 2 months is probably the longest time the U.S. military has ever waited until something has happened. And we're talking about U.S. Navy actually getting attacked. We're talking about container ships getting attacked. Wild. So now we have a revision in the Joe Biden campaign right before election cycle and everything. I did not think Joe Biden would have the cojones to actually designate the Houthis as a terror organization. That is a massive move. And again, let me know what you guys think. And I don't have volume control over here because my mic setup's over there and I'm using an iPad, so I don't have that ability. Plus, I'm just a floating head. Let me know what you guys think about Biden turning Houthis into a terror organization. The reason why this is a really big deal is because this is giving me flashbacks to 2001, 2003, where the U.S. military seems to be, you know what, trying to ramp something up. The U.S. military does have momentum in striking Houthi targets over Yemen, but here's what the biggest issue is, and the U.S. military is kind of walking into a trap. And it's really hard for me to see all of your comments because, again, I am on an iPad here. But I will post this, so you can leave your comments on the posted video, and I do read those and respond back. For those of you that are not aware, terror guidelines, I mean, at this point, who cares? Look, the Houthis are in control of Yemen right now, but Yemen has the worst humanitarian disaster currently on the planet Earth. It actually shocks me when I read the statistics how many people still don't realize what's happening in Yemen. This is probably because the media is only reporting what's happening with Hamas and Palestine and all of that. A really disgusting statistic, and hey, thank you for the $2. Thanks for going live. We needed your input. Thank you so much. And I need your guys' input also, so leave your comments too. I don't see how the U.S. military can go to war with the Houthis into Yemen, and we're just going to walk into the biggest humanitarian disaster we've ever seen. And yes, they have been starving children for years. I do see that comment. Yeah, I do have to tiptoe around guidelines, and I apologize. I hate saying the bad guy list or the T list, but it is what it is. Now, the only way that the U.S. military will fully get baited into fighting against the Houthis and possibly doing something over Yemen as far as like a ground invasion is if the Houthis just don't stop. And look, if I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't look like the Houthis are going to stop. They have total home field advantage. I mean, when you look at the Israeli Defense Forces, how they're trying to handle Hamas, relatively speaking, Gaza is tiny compared to Yemen, and Hamas somehow has every single munition ever in the world. Imagine what the Houthis have stockpiled away. And the Houthis are not going to stop. Something else I want to point out is that within a 12-hour period, when the United States did a whole shock and awe over Yemen, and the U.S. and Biden even said they don't want to go to war with us, nobody wants to go to war with us, what happens 12 hours later? They launch a missile. What's up, David? Hey, everybody. So look, I don't think the Houthis are scared, and I think, hey, thank you for the $2 donation. Thank you so much, everybody, for your help and contributions. Make sure you guys are liking, notifications, and thank you for that. As far as the ones pulling the strings, of course it's Iran, and Iran does not care what happens to the Houthis or Yemen. You can see, historically speaking, I mean, if you have one of the biggest humanitarian disasters ever, Iran does not care. How do I vote? I'm more conservative in my voting, to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be a fake YouTuber and be like, you know what, I vote based off No, come on, guys. So, yeah. Something else I also want to talk about that no one's talking about, and I'm curious if you guys have heard of this. Have you guys been seeing what the French are doing out here? So the French are a part of a coalition, they're helping with the defense of stopping Houthi launching attacks, so stray attacks. One thing that I find interesting is that if the U.S. military, yes, freedom fries, if the U.S. military does start a war or go into a conflict, for sure 100% the U.S. military knows they will at least have an ally or backing from the British. Go ahead and look back. Who was the #1 country to help the United States in taking out Houthi targets? It was the British. You did have some Netherlands elements, some Australia elements, but that was as far as like logistics. The French have come out and said, we are not going to be performing offensive operations or attacking the Houthis. Now, the reason why I find this quite comical, because it's like when you go through the line of U.S. military history and you see how the U.S. and French have always operated, it's always like the U.S. military is like, yeah, we're going to do the full job, and the French are like, yeah, we'll help, but we're going to help over here somewhere. So I think that's a very classic move for the French to not fully involve themselves or immerse themselves into trying to help contain the Houthis. The Houthis have been able to divert over 2,000 ships so far. I don't know the exact economics to how much that cost the world trade, but it's going really bad for the entire world. Someone wrote, this went from bad to horrible in a few months. I would say this went from bad to horrible in a matter of a couple of days. What else do I have in my notes? So something else I do want to point out is that the U.S. military and Joe Biden has also stated they are not in a proxy war. But as it stands, I think there's a really gray line of what exactly is a proxy war. If the United States military has been attacked over 130 times since October 7th, are we in a proxy war, or are we just in a proxy defense mode? So, yeah. Once you designate the Houthis into the terror list, this has a lot of implications, and I've talked about this in a couple of my videos. And again, thank you guys for joining and being here. Thank you for liking and turn on your notifications. Something that I really want to point out that goes to show how the U.S. government operates is that they love to categorize groups, and if you're on the T group, that is the worst of the worst, but that gives more justification for the government to add funding and to perform actions. One group that I like to point out, the Mexican cartel. I don't like to really talk too much about the cartel because that's a very complex situation, but I've talked about it on this channel before where the U.S. government, they have wanted to designate the cartel as a terror group. And the main reason why they wanted to do that was that they can pull in more funding and they can pull in all government agencies to actually do something about the cartel collectively. Now, Texas on a state level has designated the cartel on the bad guy group. But look, the main point being is that when you classify and put people in certain organizations or categories, it goes to show that the U.S. military is going to move in a certain direction. And that is why I believe by putting the Houthis on the terror list, just like we've done with any other organization who's on the terror list, which, by the way, you can look this list up by going on the CIA website, totally free. It's actually not as sketchy as you thought. They have all the classifications and all that kind of stuff. Hey, everybody, thank you for being here. The slang is great. What else do we have for you? Yeah, so look, are we in a proxy war? Yes and no, in my opinion. We'll see exactly what happens over Yemen. I think the biggest cause and concern right now for the U.S. military, not so much Yemen, more so up in Iraq. Iraq is going not well for the U.S. military. The U.S. military keeps getting baited into offensive operations. If you guys are unaware, I do have to point this out. The U.S. military is not technically, legally supposed to be in combat operations in Iraq. Those ended back in 2020 or 2021, if you will. And now, essentially what's happening is, if the U.S. keeps getting attacked, once you send an AC-130 or F-16s and these random clandestine strikes on the capital, it looks like offensive operations. So I don't know how the U.S. is going to figure out what they're doing in Iraq, who's heavily backed by Iran. Yeah, they got baited into that. But as far as Yemen goes, and I kind of want to stay in Yemen, it's hard to because everyone collectively speaking sticks together. This almost seems like it's going to be a Vietnam type thing. I don't know how the U.S. will ever justify sending ground troops over Yemen, but one thing is for sure, again, changing that classification into the T word, bad guy list, it provides more cause and effect for the U.S. to actually do something. I am willing to bet, and I'm not somebody who likes to bet. I've actually turned down, what sponsor did I turn down for betting? I don't bet. I don't have any money. I am willing to bet, though, that the U.S. military might take the approach of we have to help with the humanitarian effort in classic U.S. military and government history, where we are here for the people, but again, we're here for the people as in taking out the Houthis. So we'll see what happens. Iran actually lost their momentum recently by striking targets in Pakistan and striking targets in Iraq. And I see that comment right there, Gulf of Aden accident. Is the U.S. Navy going to get hit by something? Possibly. I might make a video on that. But look, at this point, everything is so heavily documented that I don't think there's going to be any false or red flags. I don't even like talking about stuff like that. I try to stick to the facts. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Make sure you guys leave your comments and opinions on the posted video. And yeah, this has been my first live stream in a very long time, so cut me some slack. Thank you for being here. I think it was FanDuel, though. I can't remember. I really can't remember. But thank you guys for being here. Love all you guys. Leave your comments and opinions, and we'll see you guys later. Haven't been live in a while. I might do them again. We'll see. Love y'all.